Welcome, Team Life Changers. I am so glad you are here tonight. We have a special guest appearance. My husband, Pat Thompson, is going to give us some pearls of wisdom because he has a lot. That's why I married him. He keeps me straight. But before we get into that, and we have a lot of stuff that we're going to talk about tonight. But before, we're going to talk about Success Club. And I am so proud of this team because we have some new coaches that are just absolutely rocking it. So we even have coaches that aren't really even doing the business yet, still kind of getting their toes wet, that are on the board for Success Club. So for the new coaches that may not know, whenever you sell a challenge pack, that's 2 points. And for each Shakeology, that's 1 point. And our goal is to hit Success Club 5. And then an even higher goal is to hit Success Club 10, and there are different perks for each one. So on the board, we have Becky Evans, who is a brand new coach, and she has 2 points. She and her husband are rocking out on the challenge group and getting ready to start the second challenge group. So yay for Becky. Melinda Nanini is at 2 points. Lori Butterworth is at 1 coach and 2 points. Kathy Park, we're now in Success Club category here. Kathy Park hits Success Club, and she is at 6 points. Congratulations, Kathy. Shannon Koenig, she is at 8 points. And you guys may see her. She's a quieter one. We don't see her that often. So when she was like, I have 8 points, I was like, girl, you are rocking it. So I don't even know if she even knew what Success Club even meant. And she's already hitting SC8 and possibly SC10. Gina Campbell, who is brand new, I like to call, because Gina is under Sarah, so she's my grandbaby. She is my first grandbaby that's like rocking this business, and she's already hit Success Club 10. So way to go, Gina. So proud of you. And she is traveling, and she's in West Virginia right now and still on this team call. So I'm, number one, shocked that you have signal in West Virginia because I'm from the hills of Virginia. But I am at 3 coaches and 10 points. And Sarah McAfee is at 4 coaches and 21 points. So she is rocking out, and she has 2 of those coaches who are ready to do the business. So Sarah is rocking it and ready to do, ready to hit diamond. She's diamond. The other one that is not on here is Miriam, and I know that Miriam has sold challenge packs, but she has not put her thing on the board. So just make sure every week you got to get your name on here, because now that the team is just growing, it's just too big for me to wrap my head around and get everybody on here. But I know that Miriam is on here, and I think she might even be Success Club. But anyway, all right, that's who we have for our March Success Club. So congratulations. And there is still time. There is still time to hit Success Club. So get on there and start advertising for your challenge groups. So, all right. Let me give you just a couple of announcements. 2 things. I am actually going to start for next month, for the month of April, because it wouldn't be fair to do it this month. But I'm going to start it for the month of April and giving prizes for those who hit Success Club each month. So every person that hits Success Club will get a prize every month, and it'll be something different every single month. So that will be awesome to get that. And another thing is the bracelets. I don't know if you guys saw the beautiful bracelets. I know Beachbody, they send the emerald bracelets, and then and as you rank, there are always those, I don't know what they're made out of, rubber, plastic, something, which are nice. But when I saw one of my friends, she's actually in my accountability group, Terry Rayburn, she makes jewelry, and she was actually one that I saw her jewelry stuff, and I was like, wow, this stuff is pretty. I friended her, and then she came into the challenge group, so that was awesome, and she's rocking the challenge group. But I saw these bracelets, and I'm thinking these would be perfect for my emeralds. So we have right now 5 emeralds, one that looks like she's going to be emerald very, very soon. But right now, where's my list of emeralds? We have Cindy, we have Melinda and Susan and Miriam and Lori. Those are our active emeralds right now. So each of those 5 ladies will receive those one of those pretty bracelets that I put in their coach feed. And then it looks like Sarah might be hitting emerald very quickly. So yeah, so that'll be awesome. And those are my announcements. So I am going to turn it over to Pat. Pat had some really good, we were just talking this morning because we always talk about everything that we talk about. I relate it to Beachbody. I'm like, oh, well, it's just like my Beachbody business. Oh, it's just like my team. And Pat is like, oh, it's just like flying. So he actually had a really good analogy this morning. I was like, you need to share that with my team. So let me unmute Pat. And he's going to give us some of his, he really is. I just love Pat because in all seriousness, I know we joke around and act silly with each other, but I'm so thankful for him because he's such a, whereas I'm like, let's just go and have a party. And he's like, whoa, 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 whoa. We need to think about this. Let's plan a little bit. So we really balance each other out really, really nicely. So I'm just so thankful for his support in doing this business, which I was actually, in all honesty, kind of shocked that he was supportive when I first jumped in, but he is because we both know that this is from God, and God has brought each of you guys here to my team. We just know there's no, I can't even pretend like God didn't do this because I know for a fact he did. So anyway, without further ado, Pat, take it away.
Can you hear me okay?
I can.
Okay. Yeah, like Rebecca was saying, this, everything that she's been doing, all the work and helping and supporting you, the coaches, through the different videos and all the resources that she's put together, it just reminded me of how much work goes into most things. And, for me, piloting in the military, it was a lot of work that you had to do, sometimes for just a 2-hour flight. And, before you go fly, you've got to pre-fly, you've got to make sure you've got fuel, the maintenance is done, the inspection, equipment, there's so many things. You've got to make sure there's a passenger manifest, that if you're not back by a certain time, somebody knows when and where you might be to begin looking for you, for search and rescue. So that's all part of the flight plan. And just like this, there's a lot of preparation that you guys have to put forth, which seems like a lot of work, but the benefit in the long run, maybe not even the long run, the benefit is going to be good. And because we already know that this is a successful business model, and many people have done it, many people are successful at it, but I think the difference comes down to how much preparation you put into it. So it's going to take some level of effort, and I know everybody's busy. Some are busier than others. Some of the coaches, or at least one of the coaches, just started a new job. So there's a lot of balance that has to happen. And so some people may move forward more rapidly than others. But that was basically the analogy that we were laughing about this morning, is how much work it takes before you can actually, what we call pull pitch, before you can actually take off. And take off being, again, another analogy for success in Beachbody. That you guys are doing the hard work right now, and that you will be successful. All this work will pay off. There will be fruit at the end of it. And so I just wanted to encourage you with that. I know Rebecca said that I was going to be this pearls of wisdom. I don't know about that, but I do know, and that's what I've been learning and I've learned all through life, is whenever you put a lot of work into something, it will pay off. People will see the difference. They can tell whether or not you're genuine and how much effort you've put into it. And that's what they really, really enjoy. That's what they like. That's what they want, is somebody that's committed, somebody that's genuine, somebody that has their best interests at heart. And
well, and we were talking too about kind of like with the airplane and going on a journey. And I liked what, because we were talking about, because it's not just, because we started talking about being on the runway, but with the airplane, it starts way before you even get on the runway. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if you wanted to kind of share with that. And then you even took it back to like, well, where are you going? Where's the destination?
Right, and that's what I was saying earlier. So yeah, you can, just like with in anything, in a car, in a job, you can't just show up at a place that you want to work and just sit down at a desk. I mean, you've got to do all the work. You've got to apply, but before all that, you've got to prepare yourself, and you've got to apply and see if you are selected for that position. Just like if you're going to go on a trip, and same thing with the airplane analogy. You can't just end up on the runway and be cleared for takeoff. You don't know where you're going. You don't know how much fuel you have. You don't know how far you can go. If you have the right equipment, if you have inspections that are going to be due in an hour and you have a 2-hour flight, what do? So it goes all the way back to the beginning, and you have to do the foundational groundwork first. And same thing with Beachbody. You can't just, well, some people can just go without thinking about it.
Who are we talking about?
Yeah, but that's a rare thing, where you don't have to put in a lot of the preparation, because I like to prepare everything. I like to think everything through, and sometimes that's good. Sometimes it's tedious, for the family, when I try to think everything out too much. But so I guess, again, there's balance. There has to be a little bit of risk taking, coupled with some forethought, So like Rebecca's, we were laughing about that the other day, she just goes. She, take off. What? We don't have any gas. Yeah, but there has to be some thought put into it. But primarily, it's a lot of people get caught up in the planning, and then they never execute. They never get anything done. Some people, like Rebecca, just goes and worries about, okay, well, we'll figure it out on the fly, which is tough, but very few people can do that. So I think it's more balance. You have to think things through, but in the meantime, actually make it happen. You've got to produce, you've got to act. Yeah, you've got to move. So I don't know if those are pearls. I don't know if it's wisdom, but that's what you got.
Yeah, and I just like it too, because, and even when you're in the airplane, I remember the first time that I ever flew and felt turbulence. Oh my gosh, I was scared to death.
Me too.
To death. Well, you were afraid of flights. You are of heights.
Yeah.
And then you started flying to actually conquer that fear, and then, or whatever, and it's like, whenever I would feel that turbulence, it would scare me to death. And it will cripple some people when they feel the turbulence. Either, number one, they won't try it, or it'll cripple them so much that they try it and then they hate it so much and they're like, I'm never doing that again, and to each their own. But I know that the more that you do it and the more hiccups, this is a business that we definitely learn along the way, because it is impossible for, whether it's a 30-day training, a 14-day training, it is impossible to get every jot and tittle in that 30 days. Perfect example was our chat today when we were talking about when people sign up, and then there are these fees for club membership, that because there's this teeny little box that needs to be unchecked as you're checking out. Most people aren't seeing that. I never knew that. I already had like a huge line of coaches, and it was Lori Butterworth that found it. She was like, I was just charged. I'm like, for what? And then I'm sending out this massive email, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what if I lose every single person? So I sent out this massive, and I was like, I think the thing about me is that, yes, I will go, but people know my heart. Like I am vulnerable enough on Facebook to where people know my person. And that's why I like the voice messaging thing too, which I didn't use the voice message at that point, but I sent this email like so apologetic, like, I am so sorry. I didn't see it. I didn't know it. Lori found it. If you guys did this, you can call and cancel right away. But I don't think I had anybody cancel. I think Lori canceled, and then once she started doing the business, she got right back on and loved it. So everybody else kind of stayed and, whatever. But I just think that, just like what Pat was saying, there's definitely a balance. There's the time where you think it through and plan and plan and plan, but then there's that time where you get on, let's go for a ride, right? I don't know if you guys have things that you would like to ask Pat or comments that you want to make, in regards to what he had to say or how he puts up with someone that's not a planner. I don't know. Do you guys have anything you would want to ask him? Or maybe like a husband's perspective? I mean, because all of us are women, like, maybe, because I know that there was a time when I had to convince Pat where things started building up with coaches. And at one point I was like, babe, you've got to get in here now. He didn't understand anything of what I meant, but we all know that as you add coaches, you need your husband as close to you, when you're starting to add those coaches, but he didn't get that. So I'm trying to explain it to him. I don't know. That was a big deal.
I have a question for you, Pat.
Hey.
How are you?
Good. Good.
Good. Hey, so I think my question would be, with all the time that Rebecca spends on her business side, you as her husband, how have you, I know Rebecca's kind of shared a little bit, but how have you maybe shared with her what do you need from her in that balance? Do you know what I mean? Because I want to put some time into this. For business-wise, I feel like it's speaking to a lot of the gifts that I have being with Beachbody, more so than what I was in before, and Curtis sees that. But I want to make sure that I'm balancing out my time. So you as husband, do you understand what I'm trying to ask?
Yeah, I think so. One thing that I do know, Miriam, is that it's not forever. It's not always going to be this intense, this much work. That there's an end to it, and like Rebecca said earlier, one of the things that I do know is that this is from God. Another thing that I do know is this works. It's a big thing. And so I believe in it now, because initially I really was skeptical, thinking, because I used to work out, I wasn't a bodybuilder, but I've worked out my whole life. I've been fit my whole life. But then I tried a few things, like we went to Gold's Gym for a year, and I didn't lose 1 pound, not one stinking pound in a year. So then I started to get a little discouraged. But one thing I do know is that if you stick with this, it will become more and more successful, and there'll be less and less, it'll become less and less intense. Just like with most jobs. It's always, like I said earlier, it's all the foundational work. But once you get all that, and then you understand how to train up the coaches that are underneath you, it'll become easier and easier, I believe. Yeah. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. So it really, it's putting knowing that Rebecca was putting extra time in at the beginning to help build it, but then know that it's gonna balance out to where she's not spending as much time. You were on that page with her,
Yes.
right? Yeah.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
I think that helps me in just kind of knowing from a man's perspective what's how to explain what Curtis to expect with me building it up as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Cool. Thank you.
Well, and Curtis is a businessman, so he understands how much work goes into anything in the beginning.
Right.
And he's an understanding guy too.
Oh yeah.
He's a very understanding guy. You got a good man there. Yeah. Thanks, Miriam.
Yeah. Thanks.
Anybody else have anything you want to ask or say? And I think another thing too, for me, I put in a lot of hours. And the reason I do is because I think all of us will know deep in our gut, to some extent, where we need to be at this point. For me, at this point, I am to create like Life Changers is going to be its own, I don't know if you want to use the word empire, or just like Jatana has her empire and other people. Not everybody is going to have that. Not everybody is, but I know that I am supposed to, and that my job right now is to make things easier for you guys. So I'm spending the time making new coach basics for all of you guys to put your new coaches in to get training. I'm spending time, to make Team Life Changers a safe place for everybody to come into, because we're all a big family. Outside of doing your own challenge groups, we're seeing, which we'll get into that in a little bit, but your own challenge groups, your own sneak peek groups, those are things that you should do on your own so that people are drawn to you. But as far as like training up coaches and getting foundational things, that is what I am spending most of my time right now doing. And no, is the new coach basics going to cover every single thing? No, it's not going to cover. It's impossible to cover this whole business. There have been things too that I've even messaged, whether it was Jatana or Libby, who was her assistant before, Nicola, all three of them, they're like, wow, I've not come across this yet. That's going to happen from now until, because we have the tracker, there's always new products, there's always new things, it's impossible to cover the entire business, but new coach basics is vital. Like, it is your umbilical cord for life to start out as a coach. I can't, and that's what we're going to get into, a little bit more. I don't know if Pat wants to stay on the entire time, but I want to get into talking about new coach basics after, we're done with Pat. But if there are any other questions that you guys want to ask Pat or talk to him about, or comments or whatever, please chime in, and then we'll transition into teams.
Sorry, I just popped on because
Hi, Jatana.
I wish Josh was here. He's not here. He took one of the boys out for dinner. But man, in the beginning for Josh, it was like, at first it was, oh, sure, just don't spend too much extra money and have fun. It was all about working out at that point. It wasn't really a business. And then I think it was like my first $600 paycheck. Because at first he was getting a little frustrated because I was like this all the time. Hold on, I'm selling a challenge bag. I'm selling a challenge bag. Leave me alone. I'm selling a challenge bag. I'm hiding in the bathroom trying to sell a challenge bag. And I remember I rolled over one Thursday morning and I was like, honey, my paycheck was $637. And he's like, what? And for a guy, especially the provider of the home, that's valuable. That gives a value to what you're doing besides you staring at your phone the whole time.
Yeah.
And so he's like, okay, there's something real here. The other thing that he really appreciated about me in this business is he got to see a side of me that he thought was extremely attractive. Somebody who is assertive, who is running something, who is passionate about something. And I think sharing and having those conversations with him were so valuable. Instead of saying, he doesn't understand what I'm talking about or what I'm doing, explain to him what's going on and get his ideas and run things across by him. And that was really valuable too, because then he started feeling like he was a part of something. And so, get your husband's buy-in by really having that conversation, your business model. Like, they love to analyze things and solve problems, right? Anytime we tell them there's problems instead of listening, they like to solve. Well, let them start to help solve problems. That's what they're good at. So, Pat, thank you so much for supporting Rebecca. That's huge in this business, because the last thing I ever want anybody to do is to cause problems in a marriage. So, and the other thing, I think somebody commented on time. A lot of time you don't realize it, but there's time suckers that you don't need in this business, like scrolling through Facebook, checking every notification, looking at your challenge group every 5 minutes, answering somebody as soon as they message you. That stuff does not have to happen. You're giving yourself like way too much difficulties, and you're taking away from your family. It's not necessary. So manage your time. Say I'm going to jump, like for me, my inbox is crazy, right? I woke up this morning with 200 unread messages. So I go in my inbox from 2 to 4. That's nap time. My husband's not home. One of my kids is napping. The other one gets to watch TV. Yay. And I spend, from 2 to 4 in my inbox, and I just plug away, and from there, boom, shut it down. Done. I'll text with Rebecca and stuff like that, but challengers and new starting coaches, I allocate that time. And somebody will write on my wall sometimes, I sent you a message. And I'm like, I'm not checking it till 2 to 4. So set those boundaries for yourself, those hedges, in your home. And then when you're at the dinner table, put your phone away. Stick it in the drawer. When you're laying down in bed to cuddle with your husband, put your phone away. And guess what? Make sure your sex life is fabulous. And you'll be good to go. I'm done. Peace out.
Nice. Yeah, those are good words of wisdom too.
Yeah.
And something else, one of the other ladies posted that was that her husband doesn't understand the amount of time that goes into it, and and he's a businessman as well. He understands business. So for a lot of guys, I think it could be, and you said that too, Jitana, that some men are so used to being the provider that they feel threatened if their wife is going to all of a sudden become the provider, which isn't really true. I mean, that's how God created us, to be one. And so I don't feel threatened at all, especially if this is going to fulfill Rebecca and it's going to fill something inside of her that she's been lacking, because you're a mom for a season. Sometimes it's a long season, but it doesn't have to be, the season doesn't have to be the rest of your life. And so for her, it's a good time for her. She's really, really enjoying this. She loves working with all of you guys, and she is just full of joy now. She's full of joy. She really is. So this has been a good situation, and hopefully, I think it was Sarah, hopefully he'll understand over time. I don't know if he's just been, if this is something that just cropped up, or if it's something he feels threatened in the long run. I don't know, but just communicating is always going to be good.
I think with Sarah, she's at what, Success Club 17?
No, she's at 21 with 4 coaches.
Okay.
She's been doing this for like 4 weeks. Maybe on her 5th week. So it's kind of like, and she's a full-time mom, and I think her connection's going in and out. She's taking her kids to gymnastics.
It was Sarah McCaffa?
Yeah, that's Teresa's.
Oh, there she is.
Yeah, we're really family. Like she and my sister, she's my sister's niece.
Well, when you're doing that much productivity in such a short period of time as a brand new coach, that's going to require a lot of time, and probably will have your husband frustrated, because it's like, all of a sudden you make a decision to do something, then boom, you're out. You're like on your phone and you're not connected with your family because your brain's so consumed with 20-something points. That's insane. So the average coach will get like 4, 5, 6 points starting out. So you're doing a lot, Sarah, and I guess you kind of have to maybe take a breather and spend that extra time with your kids and your hubby. I don't know if she can hear us, but you just have to kind of go above and beyond with your husband just to show and communicate. I think is the best thing you can do is really communicate like crazy. Aww. Look at his face. Aww. Okay, I'm going to shut up. I'm trying to.
Cute. So cute. Anybody else have any thoughts or questions for Pat? And we have to know, and you have to know your season too. We keep seeing that chart that discount coach, hobby coach, or business coach. And you need to know which one that is. Most people on this call are definitely business. I mean, most people on this call are definitely in it to win it, right? And so that's what I want to transition into a little bit with in our new Coach Basics, and just talk about how important that is for all of us, and then even for our downline. So I don't know if this is going to bore you to tears, babe, but if you want to stay on, please stay on. But if it bores you, you can pop off. So
no, I'll stay on. You're not going to be on too much longer, are you?
No,
yeah,
no.
I'll stay on.
Yeah, so we were talking
before you jump in. I just before we transition to that, I mean, I keep saying I'm the new kid on the block because I am, but just as far as knowing our season, and I think it's important that wherever we are in this coach journey, that we don't try to measure our success against someone else's. We need to know our why, and then set our goals according to our why, where we are in our motherhood season, where we are with the support with our husbands, all those, we got to just factor all of that in. And then the checklist that we have for ourselves, if it's checked off, that's success. Mm-hmm. And so what it looks like for us and what it looks like for somebody else, we just have to kind of keep those blinders on. You know what I'm saying? Congratulate those who are in our circle and who are doing well and support them, but keep the blinders on, and so we can see the path that we're on, the path that where we're going and why, and then just kind of leave all of that other angst and all that other junk that we just really don't need, that ends up being a hindrance and a stress factor, and more than anything else. So that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, we definitely don't want that stress factor coming in there. And it's, and it's interesting too, because in my Bible lesson with my daughter this morning, we were talking about, she's finally got out of Genesis. I mean, there are some, people think Leviticus is, there are some stories I'm like, I don't even know the spiritual point of these verses. So we're in Joshua, and I'm like, oh yeah, sit down, because I can tell you some things now. But it was interesting this morning because the very first things were Joshua telling them, you've got to remember the word. You've got to remember the word. You've got to remember. And in that situation, when they were with Moses, it was trial and error. Moses was teaching them, these are the commandments. Moses didn't. He went up to be with the Lord. It's like, here's the commandments. And they're like, what? We don't want this. We don't know. But they're learning. And they're on this journey and learning. And as they are getting these commandments, and then finally, like it clicks, Moses leaves, and now Joshua is ready to take them into the promised land. And what does he say? You remember. You've got to remember what the Lord your God has told you. For me, when I jumped in, I knew that God was telling me, jump in this. But the thing is that if I know that God's told me to jump in this, and I'm like, whatever, I'm just going to scroll. I'm not doing what God's told me to do. God's told me, this is what you're doing. You are to be salt and light on Facebook. You are to be something that people are drawn to ultimately draw to him, to get healthier. I mean, I am a cancer survivor, and I'm like, I want as many people healthy as I can get, just to kind of put that extra nail in the coffin for cancer, like cancer's coffin, but I just think when Joshua, it's like, it's time to go into the promised land, and we have to know, do we want to go into the promised land, or are we satisfied being in Egypt? Are we satisfied where we are? And I think that's where we need to know, which one are we? Are we, I just want the discount and I want to be healthy? Or are we a hobby coach? I might invite my sister, I might invite Sue or whoever, but when God has told us, no, I want this to be your business, we need to treat it like a business, and we need to be accountable and say, okay, I need to learn then. I need to, just like with going to be with God, we've got to get up and spend time with God. We've got to know, and I told Olivia, here's an example that I gave her. I said, if I told you, I need you to go and do your chores today, I said, do you know how to do that? She was like, yes. And I said, why? She said, because I've been doing it for years and years. And I said, exactly. But I remember when you were a baby, it's like, mommy's going to brush your teeth. I'm doing it for you. Eventually she starts brushing. It's not good enough. So I teach her how to do it. And then I show her how I do it. And it's years of just learning how to brush your teeth. And then there's making the bed. It's a process to learn. So she has to learn all of these things of chore, this and this and this. Now I say, go do your chores. She's going to go do them. Okay. It's been a process, and we can relate that. Okay. Well, in that story, and I said, what if I told you, I want you to go downstairs in our unfinished basement and clean it spick and span so that when Sarah comes to spend the night with us, we can set up camp down there. And she was like, I can't do that. And I said, why? She goes, because nobody's ever taught me how. Exactly. So we are only responsible to do what we've been taught how. But if we want to be successful and we want to actually clean up that basement, we've got to know how to do it. So I told her, I said, if you were going to clean the basement, we've got to watch shows. We got to get on the computer. We got to watch those before and afters. We need to go to Cindy's house because Cindy keeps an immaculate house that's just beautifully decorated. Like, you've got to spend time to get these ideas from people so that you know how to do what it is you're going to do. So relating that to Beachbody, if you want to do this business, number one, you've got to have the know-how. If you don't have the know-how, get in Coach Basics, get in there and learn everything in these 14 days. Once you do My Coach Basics for 14 days and you want more, then let's upgrade and let's go into Jatana's, her 14-day basics. Let's go in there and get everything you have. And in the meantime, go on YouTube, just like what Tiffany's done, what Sarah's done, what I did. I watched every YouTube that Caleb Thomas has out there. I watched Mindy Wender. I watched all of these people to learn. But then it came that time to be like, Sarah, I've got to apply this, because as soon as I advertised, people wanted to do what it was that I was doing. And I had to be ready. So if we are like, I want to do this and we're advertising, but we're not, well, I don't know this stuff yet. Okay. And again, there's always grace and mercy. And when I started out, I sent so many messages saying, okay, Lori, please have mercy on me, because I'm not sure why you just were charged $38 for something. I don't know why. And then I'm like, Libby, Jatana, why? I go and learn so that I can give that. And then Melinda had that learning experience just this past week. And it's like, it's trial and error to some extent, but then there were other things that I'm like, wait a minute, Melanie Mitros said something about, or I had been watching Jatana post so long, I already knew how to post. I knew how to just get my face out there, how to, at least get some kind of audience to be interested in what I'm posting. So I learned those things from Jatana. So that's kind of just transitioned itself into New Coach Basics. I can't, and this is the thing too, is that it's been 6 months and I'm shocked that I'm actually at that place of needing a New Coach Basics. But I do, because I want to be able to provide a place for my grandbabies and my great-grandbabies so that it's easier for you guys. I just want this easy for you guys so that when you have a coach sign up under you, put them in Life Changers. If they want to do the business, if they are interested, then put them in the New Coach Basics. That's all they need for right now. Just Life Changers and Life Changers New Coach Basics. Then when you get an idea of, are they going to do the business, or they don't have time, or when you realize, like Sarah saw right off that Gina was ready to go, and I was like, all right, then we need to get Gina in the New Coach Basics, and then when the time comes, let's get her on Epic, Empire Call, and transition into the biggest thing. But then you have Tiffany, who's already, she's like, can we meet face to face? The same way my personality of like, let's party, that makes her need to breathe into a paper bag. When I go to her house and she has all of these binders and stuff like all stacked, I'm like, oh, and she's like, okay, I have my stuff. I'm like, okay, there's binders. I don't know if I know what to do with this. But we balance each other out, and it's a beautiful thing. So you should see the way that I was doing my New Coach Basic videos. I'm getting organized, and God is stretching all of us in different areas to make us more vulnerable on Facebook or to get us more organized. Girlfriend does not work from lists, okay? This is not my personality. This is not, it's like, who's on Facebook? Let me send them a message. But I'm learning, and that's where our whole team comes together, and it's a beautiful thing because we all have giftings that we can glean from each other. But we have to be plugged in. Like, I think that we just need to decide at some point. It's kind of like what Joshua, decide this day, and I don't want to throw God into this and say, God says, but I think we do need to make that decision. Are we ready to go for this as a business? And if we are, then let's do it. Let's, like Proverbs says, with all you're getting, get understanding. With all you're getting, get the wisdom, get the knowledge. And then like with Joshua, it's time to go. It's time to go. So that's just, I get revved up. I get excited, maybe because Pat's on here too. But I mean, it's just something that we live by, and it doesn't matter what it is. Just leave the business aside. I don't care what it is in your life. When there is something that that God is calling you to, you have to just go for it, because He's always going to stretch us in ways that we've never been stretched before. And that is, you guys know, because I think every single person on here has had some journey with the Lord, and you just know He stretches us and makes us do things that we never thought were possible. And it's such a pleasure. Like the joy that I get, and I know that Miriam can relate, I know that Jatana can relate, the joy that we get knowing that we helped our husband get on a plan for 30 minutes and a meal plan, and it's working, and their clothes are getting looser, and they're, you know what I mean? It's such a good feeling because it's something that works, and we've benefited our spouses and our friends and loved ones. So get plugged into New Coach Basics so that you can get all your, well, not all, you're not going to get all your pearls from me, but what I have, I give to you. And there's a plethora of information. You have 10 top elite coaches that you can go stalk their Facebook pages. There's so much out there that you can glean, and then, just know what it is that you're supposed to do. What is this business supposed to be for you? So anybody have any questions or comments or thoughts that they want to add? I'm excited. I'm so thankful you guys are here. Something else I'll throw in there too is 10 minutes. I will say this, between learning the business and personal development, I would say learn the business, get a grounding for what the business is. I used national wake-up calls. I used getting on elite coaches and listening to their stuff. That was my personal development, because I was motivated by that. But now Pat and I are we came home from a trip yesterday. We had our little earbuds in, sharing earbuds, listening to Jim Rohn, just to personal development of knowing we can be better. We can do things that we never thought were possible. But I think sometimes we just have to get that imagination and that dream kind of festering inside of us and just wanting to let's go for it. Let's do it. Let's do it. So exciting stuff. All right. Well, I am so glad. Okay, I see a comment. Aw, you're welcome, Sarah. Love you too. I love all of you guys. Like, I don't know if you realize, like, when I say that I love my team, Pat knows. Pat knows how much I love my team. Here, let me unmute you, babe. There you go. There. Now you're unmuted. You know.
I do. Yes, she really, really does. Yeah, and that's what I was saying earlier, about being genuine. People can tell whether or not you genuinely care or if you're just going through the motions, and that makes a huge difference to a lot of people, to know that somebody genuinely cares. And that's one thing I do know. Rebecca genuinely cares about you guys.
Oh, show. All right. Well, thank you guys for giving me a part of your night, giving the team a part of your night. I appreciate you guys. And Epic Empire call on Wednesday night, 9 o'clock Eastern time for those who want to hop on that. I'll put the link in Life Changers. Okay. Have a good night. Thank you guys.